Wow, thanks, Paula. That's a great platform, and thanks for the introduction of all of us. And great to be here. I'm going to start in I hope, a different way from my fellow panelists, but we haven't talked at all about it, so who knows. Following a performance last night of Shaw's Don Juan in Hell, my wife and I were talking with Sam Waterston, Don Juan, and asked him how he would position the arts in the pantheon of things to care about and support. And he said very simply, you have to begin by asking the question, what are we here for? That seems exactly right to me. And it leads me to an answer that goes beyond the unassailable human essentials of food, shelter, and security. All people deserve those three, but once achieved, isn't it right for them too to ask, what am I here for? Susan and I have a set of principles that guide most of our life choices, and they fly under the banner of protect what is precious. What is most precious to us is family, art, and nature. Virtually all of our work, and play too, is informed by our connection to those three. Our definition of family begins, of course, with flesh and blood, and then expands to embrace family by marriage, by adoption, by proximity, etc. It can also include schoolmates, colleagues at work, teammates in sports, fellow performers. By art, we mean, of course, the performing as well as the visual arts, and thus we include music, dance, theater, literature, and all of the emerging and collaborative art forms of today. And nature, to us, is not only what is spectacular in the natural world, the mountains, the oceans, the canyons, the deserts, the charismatic megafauna, but what is subtle and diverse and close at hand as well. Now, a decade ago, when Susan and I were contemplating becoming a family ourselves, we visited the Cloisters in northern Manhattan, a division of the Metropolitan Museum of Art. The Cloisters were closed in that deep winter day, but we enjoyed walking around the impressive stone perimeter and stopped to enjoy the view across the Hudson River of the remarkably pristine Palisades, when my eye was attracted to the drama of a shivering squirrel on a barren branch, holding a precious nut in long-fingered hands and perching athletically in profile before us. There we were, the two of us, an incipient family in a place of art and in contemplation of nature. It was all so simple. We had taken the subway to its last stop at Fort Tryon Park. We were alone in bustling New York City. Life was truly worth living. But this spectacular environment had not just happened by osmosis. It was the result of planning and spending by government and by philanthropists, most notably, I'm proud to say, my grandfather, the son of the man who was up there earlier, John D. Rockefeller, Jr., who transferred and reassembled the cloisters on this site from Europe, and who bought and conserved a strip 12 miles long of the opposing New Jersey Palisades shoreline. Imagine if you could do that today. And the good news is you don't have to be John D. Rockefeller Jr.'s grandson to visit that uncloistered squirrel tomorrow. So, let me return to the core subject of today's colloquium, whither philanthropy, and how will museums and other cultural institutions make the case for support in the face of so many other claims on the philanthropic dollar? You don't need to take notes, Todd. I mean, you could. I hope I've already made my first point, which is simply that the arts and culture broadly defined, are a significant part of what makes life worth living. Secondly, on the subject of measurability of impact, I would suggest it is vital for us to distinguish between those elements of art making and art presentation that can be easily subjected to measurement. Was that singer on the beat, on pitch? From those that are far less so, did that song move you? Did the character come through? Equally important is to differentiate among institutional metrics, such as how many visitors attended the Matisse cutout exhibition, or what was the average ticket price paid for entry, from how satisfying was the viewer experience during the most crowded days, or what did first-time visitors learn about Matisse, about MoMA, about art in general? How were their lives changed? The risk, of course, of giving philanthropic support only in response to those aspects of a museum's activities which are most measurable, like visitation statistics, is that one could end up supporting high human attendance but low human impact. On the subject of comparing cultural philanthropy to social service philanthropy, I would first make the obvious point that philanthropy alone will not solve the world's social ills. The sum of all voluntary giving is minuscule compared to government and private capital spending. At best, philanthropy can shine a light on opportunities that larger agencies might then undertake. Or private philanthropy can give upfront risk capital that encourages more cautious or more constrained sources, public or private, to follow behind it, as in the case of social impact bonds. Excuse me. In my role as trustee and currently chair of the Rockefeller Foundation, I have had a wonderful opportunity to see the challenges that we face in such diverse fields as resilience planning for 100 cities worldwide, improving the productivity of agriculture in sub-Saharan Africa, and building health surveillance networks in Southeast Asia. Strategically targeted drops in the bucket, or the basket, or the barrio. If the new philanthropists want reassurance that their money is effectively spent, and who could complain about that objective, then I would simply ask them whether they would expect to derive satisfactory answers from mechanical measurement alone of their philanthropy, any more than they would answer the question, have you been a successful parent, by giving the heights of their children, or their current income, or even their grade point average. Ironically, what is most important to Susan and me, family, art, and nature, may be among the most difficult subjects to evaluate numerically, and yet we do persist, which is not to say that we don't consider the price of a new art acquisition, or the cost of a tutor, or a safari lodge. We do, and we should, and however, we don't stop there. We ask, does this photograph touch our soul? Is the tutor a good personality match with our child? Can the safari guide speak to the animals? And even better, can he tell us what they are saying? So I look forward to hearing my fellow panelists and to receiving your questions too. Many thanks for the chance to join you tonight.